Emilia Perez is the Oppenheimer of this year. Emilia Perez is the Forrest Gump of this year. Emilia Perez is the Gone with the Wind of this year. Because yes, it is now tied with all those movies and so many more for the second most nominations received ever. And honestly, it was very close to tying the record with 14. A lot of people were speculating that Selena Gomez was going to be nominated for supporting actress, and she wasn't. And so if that does happen, Emilia Perez rises to the top with the most nominations ever. And I don't like to come into these days all negative about award nominations because none of this really matters. I am perfectly accepting that the Best Picture nominees will never match my top 10 of the year, and I honestly do enjoy award shows for what they are. I think this is a great time to celebrate the year we had in film. But it just feels so odd to me that this film is almost universally panned by critics and audiences. And yet somehow the Academy still thinks it is deserving of the most nominations this year. If it does win Best Picture, it's going to be one of the lowest rated films that has ever won. It's currently sitting at a 2.6 average on Letterboxd, a 6.4 on IMDb, and a 33% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So while I hate talking about it, it does need to be mentioned because this is by far the biggest story coming out of today. As far as other Best Picture nominations go, I think most of it was fairly predictable. I think the two surprises were Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here, although some people did think Nickel Boys would get a shot. I'm Still Here is by far the biggest shock, and unfortunately it's a film I haven't seen, so I can't even speak on if it's deserving to be here. The snub from this one, though, is Sing Sing. I think Sing Sing is a fantastic film, and I really am bummed A24 kind of botched their release with it, because I think if it had the right momentum, this could be a real competitive to actually win Best Picture. And as far as Best Director goes, I think James Mangold sneaking in there was the biggest shock of the day. I, like many others, thought that Edward Berger would get in, but of course the biggest snub is still going to be Denis Villeneuve, even though he didn't have a shot being nominated based on other award nominations this season. It's just an absolute travesty that Dune Part 2 was walking out with only 5 nominations. The Best Actress really doesn't have any surprises. Kind of all 5 of these were expected. The Best Actor, same situation. I think Daniel Craig could have slipped in there, but I really am pumped to see Coleman Domingo get some love for Sing Sing. And at this point, it really does feel like a two-person race between Adrian Brody and Timothée Chalamet. But actress, I think Fernanda Torres kind of has stepped over Mikey Madison, and it might be her and Demi Moore who are fighting for the prize. And then supporting actress, I had nothing. I mean, there were about 10 different names I think could have gotten on here. I know even as of late, people were saying Jamie Lee Curtis could have stuck her way in there. And like I said earlier with Selena Gomez, there was a high chance. But the biggest disappointment I have here is with Margaret Qualley not being nominated, especially because The Substance has a very strong presence with nominations. And if Demi Moore actually wins Best Actress, it feels kind of weird that Margaret Qualley wasn't even nominated, since they essentially had 2 very important roles within that film. And then for Best Supporting Actor, I was really disappointed that Clarence Macklin didn't get nominated for Sing Sing. I thought he was absolutely terrific, and it would have been so cool to nominate someone like him in this role. Not that he would have even had a shot, because this has been Kieran Culkin since the very beginning, just closed the race already. But it is funny to see him and Jeremy Strong competing once again for an award that Kieran will once again come out on top. But everything else was pretty chalk. I mean, there weren't a lot of surprises this year, despite it being a very weak and weird year for the Oscars. Like, I just don't see a lot of people jazzed about the movies nominated this year. I think there are a handful that are really good, but most of these are mixed at best, and some of them are just not good. So in some ways, I do think this makes for a more competitive year, because really everything is on the table. I would say there's still about 4 movies that could win Best Picture, and of course that will narrow out in the next couple months, and we might have a 2-3-way race, but it just doesn't feel like we have this dominating presence like Oppenheimer or Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so some ways, because this is a weaker year, it does make things a little bit more competitive, so that could be exciting. But I do think the big winners are Emilia Perez. You cannot deny it has some power over the Academy that we will never understand. Nickel Boys getting nominated is great for that film, and I hope this gets more people to go see it. And also Nosferatu, I think, is a winner, because it could have been shut out completely, but walking away with 4 nominations is nothing to be upset about. And unfortunately, the losers would be Dune 2, because the nominations dropped drastically from the first film. Sing Sing, I think, is a loser, and I hate to say it, but I really wanted a Best Picture nom. And I also think another loser is A Real Pain. I know Kieran Culkin will win his his Oscar, so great for that film. But this really could have been nominated for Best Picture, and Jesse Eisenberg also possibly could have been nominated for Best Actor. So those are some of my quick thoughts on this year's Oscar nominations. I would love to hear what you thought was the most surprising nomination. Who do you think the biggest snubs were? Like, how did we not nominate challengers for Best Score? Comment below, and I will see you next time.